Mechanics of Reddit. What are the biggest signs a shop is a bad choice? Such as being scammed or hustled into fixing things that don't really need fixed, or bad mechanics? Get multiple quotes. Make sure the diagnosis is correct. I replaced an O2 sensor for a friend. $25. Pep Boys told her she needed a new catalytic converter. $1,200. Rat bastards. Word of mouth is still critical on this subject. When you find a honest wrench, you tell other people about that individual. Nearly every car has an enthusiast blog, even models you think wouldn't. If you register free and spend a little time there, you will find not only mechanics who give excellent advice, but others like yourself who have corrected problems, posted photos and elaborated on what didn't work or was a misdiagnosis. The weak points of a car are unearthed on these free blogs, and if you navigate them carefully you can glean a wealth of information. Lastly, these enthusiasts will tell you who is honest where you live and share their experiences in repair pursuits. Any shop that refuses to show you the part or issue on the car when they recommend doing some type of maintenance. Likewise, shops that advertise basic work for low prices, oil changes for $20, etc., plus a 100-point inspection. All they want is to get you in and upsell that $20 oil change into a $500 brake job. Take a picture of your air filter. Some unscrupulous Jiffy Lube employees will bring in a nasty air filter and claim it's yours, and that you need to spend some 5x markup for a new one. Not a mechanic, but in my area there are places that have about 100 reviews and they're all 5 stars. Surprise surprise, I go there for transmission work and my car starts leaking oil the next day. I go in and they basically say they don't have time. I leave a 2-star review. They threaten me in the review and I get a voicemail asking for them to call back. Makes me believe if anyone else left a low rating they'd get bullied into removing it. Change that B to a 1-star. If they tell you something needs fixed, replaced, ask them to show you. 1. A reputable shop will have no problem showing you the issue. 2. A good mechanic will be able to explain in relatable terms why it's a problem. Any shop that can't sit and explain what's wrong and why to fix it is either full of crap or incompetent. Also, you are legally allowed to ask for old broken parts back. Had your brake pads replaced, you can ask for the old ones. The only thing might be that a lot of parts have a core charge, so asking to keep the parts might raise the cost of your service. My mechanic loves to show me the fricked up parts he replaces. Look at it. Just look at it. You did this. I was driving my wife's Oldsmobile Alero, and it just died. I'm not overly mechanically inclined, but I'm able to at least check the basics, and I couldn't get it going again. Had CAA, so we got it towed to dealership. They told us that the fuel pump was gone. Was going to cost $600. Wife's co-worker told us about a backyard mechanic who she used extensively for her vehicles. Called him up. He was a former dealership mechanic who was disgusted with his employer and decided to go out on his own. Okay, good start. I liked the guy already without even meeting him. Had the car towed out to him. Probably 30 minutes later, he called me in a completely incoherent rage. Once he calmed down, he proceeded to tell us the $600 fuel pump we needed was in fact a $25 fuel filter. He basically told us that either the mechanic working on our car was completely inept, or we were likely going to be replacing the fuel pump on the mechanic's buddy's car. He called the dealership and tore them a new one for us. They ended up refunding both towing fees and the diagnostics fees we paid. We promptly switched over to the new mechanic and used him exclusively until we moved away from the area. He always got a Christmas bonus from us, and many other customers. I'd say he was better stocked than most of the bars were. Good, honest mechanics are incredibly hard to find. Find them, hold on to them, treat them nice. They save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. Take your car in and ask for something to be fixed that you know doesn't need it. An honest mechanic will tell you it doesn't need it. I was an adjuster for a major insurance company and handled mechanical and body damages. I can actually write for this for body repairs. If you get into an accident, look for these things. There are a list of things people need to watch out for when they go to find a body shop. First, what attracts you to this body shop? If it was a commercial, you need to fricking leave. Body shops worth a crap do not advertise themselves because the good ones are so freaking swamped they can literally turn away 1 of 3 people who walk in the door and still be too busy. Besides, they should be spending most of their money on tools and upgrades. Did you read the reviews? This baffles me that people will look up reviews for a gyros restaurant they'll spend $15 at, but not a shop that will be doing $6k repairs on their freaking car. Really? Look at the reviews. If there are dozens of bad ones, go away. If a body shop says they can get you in today, that's typically a bad sign. If an estimate is not written yet, the car will sit for a few days before somebody gets to it. You should expect to wait for good repairs, just like you would expect to make reservations at a nice restaurant. If they advertise that they fight the big, bad insurance companies, use only OEM parts, or anything that pits you against your insurance company, that means your shop is not on good terms with insurance companies, who effectively subsidize most of the collision repair industry, because the owners know you will come to them because you're on their side and they hate those damned insurance companies too, just like me. In reality, your repairs will freaking stall constantly for additional repair costs, of which will occur 90% of the time. So every time a new part needs to be ordered, the shop will move your car to the back while they fight, which means they call once a day to discuss the merits of the repairs or the parts used in the repairs, instead of ordering them and getting it done like a normal shop typically will. Your 1-week bumper job could end up taking 65 days. I have actually seen this happen, and then the shop decides they want $70 a day in storage. If they pay your deductible or your rental, guess what? Somebody has to pay that, and typically, it isn't going to be shop doing it out of the kindness of their hearts. It's usually the technician, who is now on a race against time to get the work done faster. Use your instincts. If you get a bad vibe, walk away. Nobody makes you go to a shop. Not the insurance company, not the shop. You make a repair decision. Now, you may be asked to go to a shop by the insurance company because they have a rep there, and you should do that just to get an estimate in their system. I think a strong start for most people is understanding the maintenance that needs to be done at each mileage interval, as well as learning how to diagnose issues. Things like this. 1. Know how to tell if you have adequate tread on tires. 2. Learn how to tell if you have pad life left. Learn what bad brakes sound like. They chirp when you brake. 3. Learn how to replace your air filter. It costs $10 and is usually in a plastic box easily accessible under the hood. 4. For other things, learn to understand what sounds mean. Clicking when turning? Probably a CV shaft. Grinding while driving and wobbly tires when you get the car jacked up? Wheel bearing. If you understand what the issue is, you can appreciate what the cost should be as well. I go to a local garage, independently run. And speaking as a woman, part of the reason I go there is that they just speak to me as a person with a car. No over explaining. I don't get charged any more or less than men do. They're just a lot more interested in my car than they are in me, which is how it should be. The other thing I appreciate is that if they think your car is past all help, they'll tell you so. They could have easily charged me hundreds in labor to try and track down a wiring fault in my Clio, but instead told me that it had been fixed so much and so haphazardly in the past it was pretty much a lost cause, and they'd offer me a half-price service on whatever cheap piece of crap I brought in next time. Stay away from national chains. Small independent shops have no advertising, just their reputation. Talk to friends and relatives to find who they trust and have a relationship with. I have more of a story. I was a 17-year-old girl at the time. Dropped my car off to be diagnosed, being told we will call you in an hour as soon as we know what the problem is so we can go from there. Hours passed by. So I called them to ask what was up. Yeah, we figured out the issue and started working on it. We're almost done now and we will let you know when to come pick it up. Had no choice but to pay the $600 because they fixed my car without even asking me to do so. The best part? It wasn't even fixed. Whatever they fixed was not the issue. Also had a tire shop try and sell me one used tire for $90. I asked them if they thought I was stupid and left. Now I always take my father with me if it involves anything car related. If you didn't sign a paper approving the price, then you can refuse payment. Know your car. Before taking it in for anything, check for stains under it. Put it up on a jack and run a rag over your axles. A common hustle is to put a little bit of power steering fluid or oil on your axles and tell you have a leak. I check all of my fluids before taking my car in for anything. One shop I took my car to brought me into the shop where my car was up on the lift and showed me the place where my power steering fluid was leaking. Then showed me the reservoir that was almost empty. Odd, 30 minutes ago it was full. Full from the last time I filled it even. Do you honestly expect me to believe that on the way over here I lost all of my power steering fluid? Hard no. I never went back. Alternatively, if you find a place that's honest, stay with them. My car was actually leaking oil once. Took it to a place expecting a hefty repair. Nope. The drain plug was stripped. $5. Didn't even charge me anything for labor or to look at it. They got all of my business until I moved away. Not a mechanic, but freaking look at your car if a mechanic said something needs to be fixed. A mechanic told me my serpentine belts were horrifically cracked and would snap soon and that I had an oil leak. They showed me pictures of what they claimed was my car. My husband was like, no, maybe you should look before you do anything. So we looked. My belts looked practically brand new. The belts they showed me a picture of were absolutely not mine. There was no oil leak, but they did dump oil on my engine and claim it was a leak. I don't know specifics, but it seems like that should be illegal. If they're using fear in any way, telling you something must be fixed right now or it could be dangerous. They might be right, especially if it's about your brakes, but if they are being alarmist about it, that would be a red flag. Plus, in general, trying to get you to commit right now without giving the chance to get another estimate or opinion. Take a look at the shop. If it's a mess, disorganized, parts and tools left laying around, the outside is not upkept at all, a lot of dead cars sitting outside and a less than professional appearance, both the facility and the people, that could be a red flag also. First of all, you shouldn't be looking for a shop. Look for a technician. You could have completely different experiences at a shop just because you got a different tech. This can be deceiving because you see the same faces up front. The service advisor's recommendations come from the tech. Most of the time the service advisor doesn't even look at the car. If you have a good experience at a shop, ask for the tech's name. Go back for another service and request he works on the car. Ask to meet him or get contact info. Ideally do this with small repairs. Then when a big one hits, you have your guy. If he switches shops, go with him. That's the ideal scenario in my mind. I am an independent shop owner and currently the only employee, and this should be the number one response to this question. Different kind of mechanic here. Bicycles. The best suggestions in here so far are: 1. Ask for a service you're sure you don't need and see if the mechanic agrees with you. If they do, be wary. 2. Ask for explanations of what is wrong and why it broke and how the fix will be performed. If the mechanic can't explain the procedure, parts, and cost up front, be wary. 3. Have maintenance completed regularly. I'm not sure if it's the same for cars, but for bicycles there are parts that last a long time and parts that wear quickly. Oftentimes foregoing maintenance will allow these quicker wearing parts to incorrectly wear your longer lasting parts. Regular maintenance will ensure serviceable parts stay that way for longer. If you've been having regular maintenance performed and using your equipment as intended, be wary of a full service replacement package. In the bike shop, a lot of the maintenance I do is stuff riders should know how to do anyway. Ask to watch the service being performed. Chances are good you can watch and learn and save yourself time and money in the future. Worked at a Dodge dealer and a Toyota dealer. Double check your air filters. They may still be cleaned even if they are marked as dirty. 30+ for an air filter is ridiculous. Also mark your tires when asking for a rotation. Some techs get lazy and ignore the rotation if the tire tread is even on all tires. Don't pay for something they didn't do. Out of the office, that's a super good idea to mark tires for rotation. A shop by my house is a 2 lifts in the guy's garage. No alignment tools and he doesn't take cards or checks. Not even a money order. Only cash. He doesn't give invoices or work orders and he sells used tires as new. The tire he sold me lasted 38 miles. Litika's garage in Salisbury, NC. Not afraid to call out his bulls. Only cash. He doesn't give invoices. I hear some guy at the IRS is looking for a new mechanic. Not a mechanic, but relevant. I recently took my brand new car in for an oil change. It was leaking oil afterwards, so I took it back the next day. A different guy was in. They said a part unrelated to the oil change and totally nothing to do with the work done 24h earlier was broken. Red flag. So I should take it back to the dealer for replacement under warranty. Took it in. The dealer's mechanic snaked a camera through the engine and took pictures of the damage for me so I could see what was wrong. The cylinder head was cracked. For those unfamiliar, just know that it's a 1.5 inches thick piece of steel. There was damage all throughout the inside. The camshaft was damaged. When they did the oil change, they had left the oil gun sticking into the hole where the oil goes in and then turned the engine on with it still inside, so the oil gun got crunched inside my engine. The prognosis: a new engine, or my brand new car was scrap metal. I got a second opinion from my brother's mechanic to be sure, and he said the exact same thing. Turns out my local mechanic had not only caused the damage, but every person there had lied about it to my face to try and get out of taking responsibility. A letter from my lawyer to the shop owner was the only way to get my car repaired. The damage was over $5,000 in parts alone, not including labor. Until this happened, I was not aware it was possible to cause so much damage doing something as simple and routine as an oil change. That shop is now closed. The moral of the story: when a mechanic lies to you, there's a good chance the whole shop will lie to you. The attitude of a business always comes down from the top. A good mechanic will show you what's wrong if you ask, and not try to send you away. When it comes to damage, if they won't show it, they are full of crap. We've had some unbelievable experiences with crooked mechanics. Are the margins that low, or is it just that easy to rip people off in this industry? Very recent story. My mom was quoted $1,600 to fix her little car, and she fixed it herself with a $40 part plus pliers she bought at the dollar store. Way to go, mom, and screw that place. When they tell you your power steering fluid is dirty and needs to be changed, then you ask them more in-depth questions about it, and they answer them all. What color? Are they really sure? Did they check the right fluid reservoir? Can you check again? etc. Then you ask them how that's possible when you drive a 2014 Subaru Forester which doesn't have any power steering fluid. That's how you know. Then you leave a 1-star Google review. People need to realize that a lot of this isn't malicious. Most new mechanics are following a monkey see read, monkey do method of their jobs. Tech schools crank people out so quick, and the industry is hurting for people bad enough that a warm body is better than nothing. My father is the shop foreman at a dealership, and I've worked maintenance in heavy industry for nearly a decade before changing industries. What I've seen is that you'll never solve your staffing issues for 1. 2. Literally most mechanics see the symptom and start making assumptions on the root cause due to inexperience or time constraints. The engine won't crank. Must be a seized piston, or a dead battery on top of that. Most don't even understand the impact for the customer when jumping to a $600 fuel pump when a $25 fuel filter can fix the problem. One story here was of basically just that. Lack of troubleshooting experience is a major problem. Sure, you should be able to know the ins and outs of what you're working on with your eyes closed, but trying to figure out why something isn't doing what it's supposed to be doing isn't as easy as the armchair soccer mom football dad thinks it is. These shops get paid a set amount of money to fix the problem. The longer the time spent diagnosing the issue, the less money they make. And that incentivizes malicious intent of discovering a high dollar item needing replaced, or a shamed young mechanic playing off his slowness with an exaggerated problem. They talk to me. I have very little car knowledge. 6 wheels. Goes brom. My wife is quite knowledgeable about the witchcraft under the hood. Will tell mechanics that I don't know about cars. She's the one who does. If they still insist on talking only to me, I get suspicious. If you choose to ignore the one who knows what you're talking about, you either can't listen, or want to try to get one past me. And for all those screaming that a car has 4 wheels, you're forgetting the one in the boot and the steering wheel. Had a dealership charge me extra for an alignment after putting on my winter tires. Not unusual. 2 weeks later I had a recall and went back to the dealership. They said I needed an alignment. I said I had one done 2 weeks previously. They didn't believe me. I straight out asked them with a laugh if they were lying to me then I know. They avoided eye contact for the rest of my service day. My dad was a mechanic. He was an honest one too. Ran a shop out of his house and was good to people. I cannot even recall the number of times he would come in the house and we would drive into town to look at someone's car. I was always annoyed because we would be there for what felt like forever, but he would fix simple stuff for free or for hardly any money if it was an emergency. I didn't appreciate that until I was older and one day realized that there's a good chance he seriously helped hundreds of people by just fixing little things in parking lots or on the side of the road. One winter this lady had a dead battery in the grocery store parking lot and he put me and my brother in the truck. This piece of crap brown 8's Chevy with afterburner level heat, and proceeded to help fix her car. He told her to put her 2 kids in his truck too to keep them warm. I felt awful because I was sick and just wanted to go home and go to bed. I will never forget the little boy telling me their heater doesn't work in the car and they hate leaving the house because it is so cold in the car. My dad fixed her battery and then I told him about the heater. He hopped back out and told the girl to drive to our house where he swapped out the heater element for free in like no time at all. I was always perplexed by how someone so altruistic could suffer so bad from alcoholism. Okay, here's how to find your mechanic. Find a female bartender in the 45-65 year range. Tip her well. Ask her who works on her ride. That's your guy. When you go to a shop for a major service, 30k, 60k, etc., and they come with an estimate with more items need service compared to your owner's manual, you may want to get a second opinion. Shops have made their own list for servicing by combining different manufacturers' recommendations. Source: had a shop for 10 years and saw some ridiculous quotes. Write your initials on certain car parts, such as fuel filters. Once the shop says they replace them, go check for yourself. I couldn't tell you the amount of times a shop has claimed to replace something, but never did. If it says Pep Boys, Tires Plus, Jiffy Lube, etc. on the building, stay away. Chains like they have quotas, and district managers trying to make sales numbers. They will you often not think twice. Source: car mechanic with 18 years profession experience. Anytime they say you need a new anything when you go in for maintenance, it's probably a lie. Confirm it yourself. Worked at a Shell station for a week in college doing oil changes. Got one done and told the boss he said she needs a new belt. I was like, no she doesn't. He proceeded to walk over and cut the belt off and told me to get her a new one. Quit on the spot and told everyone I could about how bad the place was. I drive beaters. I am decently knowledgeable about things I own and buy. My current headache is my 2002 VW Golf with holes in the muffler pipe and manifold. I am probably going to junk it and try to loan something, but only because I don't know anyone where I live and the local mechanic seems shady. Brought it in. It's a Goodyear shop with great reviews online. Told the dude my situation. I'll need to know what's wrong. Get my own parts, but pay whatever for labor. Dude basically said the only place he could get parts he trusted from was the VW supply chain from the factories. $2k quote for just the parts. Okay, the car is worth less than that by KBB despite being in good condition in other areas. I'd say a good mechanic would have recognized the context. Maybe suggested a junkyard he'd done business with that someone who recently relocated here might not know. The whole thing just felt impersonal compared to businesses I've dealt with back home. I paid nearly $100 for a diagnostic so they'd run the full computer dealio through my engine, and the best he could come up with was ordering parts from the manufacturer for more than the car's value. Years ago, while still a new young driver, I took my truck to get an oil change at a branded shop. I could see my truck through the window on the lift for over an hour after they changed the oil with nobody touching it. A tech finally came into the waiting room and told me that my tires were dangerously low on tread and he couldn't legally let me leave. I protested and said take the truck down and give me my keys, but he persisted, saying that he couldn't allow it to be on the road. Another, older, customer stood up and said cut the balls. Take his truck down, give him his keys, and give me mine. The tech tried to object until the older guy took out his sheriff's office badge and proceeded to tell him his office would be visiting the shop soon. Things went quickly after that, and I got the oil change free. If If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.